Guys, Ethereum, it's scaring me. It's scaring me looking at this Ethereum price action. Today, what I want to do is talk about Ethereum again. So let's just call this part two. A couple days ago, released part one, where I'm just giving my thoughts on the price action, thoughts on the charts with Ethereum. But yeah, I missed out a couple key pieces of information which I'd like to go over today. So I'm not really scared about Ethereum. I'm kind of more scared for the people that have their whole entire net worth wrapped up in Ethereum and they're wearing those proper bull goggles. You know, all they see is bullishness that it has to pump. The main point of the previous video is like the stock market, crypto, all that stuff. It's an extremely hard place, and you don't know who you're actually up against. There are some big players with billions and billions of dollars, and their job is to steal your money. All right, it's as simple as that. It is actually not a nice place. No, it's not like everybody's working together as a team. Um, everybody is out there to fight each other. Everybody is going to war. So the analogy that I used in that previous video was it's kind of like Gladiator, you know. There's some big players out there and they've been training their whole life for this. And not only are they strong, not only are they shredded, not only do they have this massive weapon, right? You know, they're backed by billions and billions of dollars as well. So it's like, you know, they've dedicated their whole lives to this. They're also well funded. It's like it's actually not a level playing field, and that's what it's about. It's like you need to have an edge. That's capitalism. You need to have an edge whenever you start a business or whatever. You need to think like, what is the unique thing about you that's is evidence for why you actually make a lot of money in the long run. You actually need an edge, right? And that's with everything in life, and it's 100% true when it comes to this trading and investing, stock market, crypto, all of that. So yeah, what I just wanted to go over was a couple things that are just giving me that feeling that it's just not looking quite right with Ethereum. And then at the end of the video, what I want to do is just show you two stocks that actually look good, right? So right now, everything in the world is practically going down. Like if we just look on the right hand side here, it's like everything's red, right? There's very few things that are green. 90% plus is all down, right? And Ethereum, overall, I do think it's cheap, right? And I was talking that, hey, it's at this massive support level across here, right? Where the price has reacted very well in the past. It's also at the whole number of 2000. And then there's also this diagonal support. So we were calling it the triple whammy. It's actually a really, really good support. But what I forgot to mention is, right? And obviously, I just want to say, like I did say in every video, like I don't actually know the future. The price could easily pump. Like a big player could also do the opposite, which is, instead of shorting and hunting for the stop losses, which we were talking about last time, they could also do a little fakey and pump the market. That can also happen as well. So I don't know at all. But the main thing is the evidence is showing us that short term is just not the best. So I just want to make this video as a warning for anyone that's got their whole net worth wrapped up in this stuff. Please, please, please take off your bull goggles, because if it does flash crash, it leads to a lot of panic selling when people have too much money invested in one asset and then it flash crashes and they see, fuck, I'm down 40% overnight with my whole net worth. That's when people make very, very, very silly decisions, because let's say it does flash crash. It probably actually is. That's the bottom, that's the bottom, and you start going higher. Like every time it does flash crash, like here, here, they are short term, at least short term bottoms, and you start moving head higher, because that's the end of the fear. Everybody who wanted to sell has now sold. And the big players, the people that hunt the stop losses, the people with the algos, they flip, they close their shorts, they take their profits, they then use that extra capital that they have, they buy back in, and they actually go the opposite direction. They go long, you know. So they're making money on both sides of the market. They don't necessarily need something to always go up or always go down. These people with the algos, they make money no matter the market conditions, all right? That's what makes them so special. So the warning sign now, it's been a few days. The warning sign is we have a saying in the stock market. It's called tennis balls versus eggs, all right? Now, what is happening to the price action of Ethereum? Since I made that video, it hasn't moved. It has not moved. It's still stuck here at the same level. That is like someone's dropped an egg and it's just splattered at the support. What you want to see is it act like a tennis ball where it comes down there and it's boom. It's 1 day maximum at that level and just goes, right? Usually that's an extra sign, right? That it is the bottom of the market. So it's splattering here. It just scares the daylights out of me. So the longer it consolidates at this level, and if it starts consolidating below these support levels, that's even a bigger warning sign that you get a little flashy. So overall, I can't tell you what to do with your positions. But I do want you to understand a little bit about how I think. I never marry investments. I'm always looking for the best opportunities there are in the world. I do think long term, or maybe not long term. I think it's too hard to actually understand. Long term, what's Ethereum going to look like in 10 years? What's it going to look like in 20 years? Is there a better technology that's going to come out that makes Ethereum obsolete? I think the probabilities could actually be decently high. If you know for a fact that Ethereum is going to be the winner, like, what's your evidence? What's your evidence, and who are you? Do you have a background in coding? Do you have a background in understanding economics and how money works and history and computer science and all of this stuff? Who are you? You gotta ask those things, right? Um, because what I like to say is, like, I don't know all of this. I'm not a genius in all of these areas, but I do know these areas somewhat well. And with my knowledge, I understand I have a lack of knowledge, so I actually don't know. That's my opinion. So because I actually don't know, and I do think there's a decent chance, medium term, 5 years or so, the asset can do decently well. I position my size accordingly. And so what is my size? My size is 2% of the portfolio. You can go check on eToro, type in Dylan Weston, type in my name. You can see my portfolio 100% transparently. So I have slightly under 2% um, in Ethereum, and you can check, what is the value. So I've invested 2%. The current value is less than that 2%, which means Ethereum has been underperforming the rest of the assets in my portfolio. So far, it actually hasn't been going that well over the last few years. And you can just look at the charts. Just look at the charts. What's it done over the last few years? It's done barely anything. Like, this is going back to May 2021 now. If you go to all the tech stocks May 2021, we've already broken those highs. We've already gone. We've already made more money. Ethereum, not so much. But if there is a flash crash, right? Am I going to get scared with having only 2% of my net worth wrapped up in this stuff? I'm not going to get scared at all. Like, if this crashes by 50% from 2000 to 1000, what's going to happen to me? I'm not even going to notice any of it, right? That's practically going from 2000 to 1000. It could go to zero. It could go all the way to zero. I won't feel it. You will not see me clench. You will never find me. You will never see me. You'll never catch me. You'll never catch me clenching over a single asset. It's just not going to happen, right? Because my portfolio, again, go check on eToro, is very well diversified. And the way I structure the portfolio, it goes based on highest conviction. And sometimes I'm wrong. I believe 30-ish% of the time, my plays are going to be wrong. But you gotta order your portfolio in terms of conviction levels. The higher conviction you have, the faster you think you're gonna make money in a risk adjusted. Um, think in terms of risk as well, risk adjusted. You put that at the top of your portfolio. Your worst one you put at the bottom, and it's very, very hard to actually structure it 100% correctly. Like, you're never going to get it right. You're never, ever going to get it right. Like, I always laugh about, I think one of my the lowest conviction plays was having Facebook in there, Meta. And it turned out to be like the biggest winner. I think it's up 400, 500% or something. I put it down to 0.5%, part of the portfolio, 0.5% allocation. And it's absolutely pumping. That means I got it wrong, right? I got it wrong. So the point is, like, we should get this is the game. We're playing a game of probabilities. We're not actually supposed to get it right 100% of the time. No one can. Literally, no one can. If you could get it 100% of the right all the time, you would probably go all in like one stock, get the big pump out of it, sell, go all in another stock, because you would know which one is going to be the best in the whole world, which is going to be the fastest for those next few months. You'll then sell, capture the gain, sell, and just rinse and repeat it. No one can do that, right? No one can do that. All right. So back to Ethereum. It's just sitting there. Let's just wait and see. Like, I would say there's a 70% chance we go down. There's a 30% chance we go up. The probabilities are we go down more than we go up. I believe that is the facts. Overall, though, I wouldn't be a seller down here because it actually is quite cheap. So if we do get a flash crash by 50%, I don't think it'll be long lived. I would consider potentially dollar cost averaging in at those levels. But because my allocation is already only 2% down there, right? My allocation will get cut by half, right, in terms of the value of the portfolio. So I could just potentially dollar cost back in another percent and get a cheaper price, right? So I can actually be opportunistic when the price crashes. That's the point. And yeah. So like the allocations, how to think about all of this stuff, the mindset, that's the most important thing. All right. So tennis balls versus eggs. Don't forget that analogy. And go back and just check some random stocks. Whenever they're down at the lows, usually they act as tennis balls. And, we call these, these things are candles. And there's like the little wick, the end of a candle is like this little, the little wick down here. Usually it's a little wick for 1 or 2 weeks max. So if we start staying down here for longer than that, it's another sign that the bottom's not in yet. All right. But if we do reverse and we go pump straight back to 3,000, that would look nice again, right? It would look nice again. Remember, I believe right now 70% chance down, 30% chance up. Okay, let's move on. Let's go talk about some stocks that are actually looking good. So what we're going to be talking about is relative strength. We want to find things which are going against the tide. So if the tide's going down right now, if the market is going down lower and lower and lower, as we were saying before, 90% of the stocks, they're all red. They're all going down. The market likes to move together. Now, if you get a little black sheep that likes to go the opposite direction, you want to bet on that black sheep, right? It's showing that it's so strong it can go against the herd. Okay. So an example of that is Roland's right now. Like, look at this. Okay. Look at this. This is a completely different to Ethereum and everything else happening in the world right now. Despite everything crashing, the last few weeks, all in a row, Roland's is breaking out, right? This is 2 weeks. It's good to go. It's now broken above the psychological whole number of 50. 2 weeks is going to close above. It looks like this week is going to close above for the second week. That's good to go, in my opinion. This looks like one of the best trades there is right now that I've personally seen. And it's got a massive, massive long-term trend. Look at this, right? It's not choppy at all. It's beautiful, right? It's absolutely beautiful. Look at it. From 2000. From 2000, just constantly pumping. And now whenever you draw in these lines like this, what you're looking for is like, how close is it to that support line? That can be a signal of like how cheap or how expensive it is. If it's really, really, really far away, that can be a sign that it's expensive. Right now, we're actually pretty damn close. So I would say we're below fair value. Fair value is like roughly in the middle. We're below fair value. I'd say we're cheap. Massive, massive relative strength in this one. This is probably my number one pick at the moment that I can find, right? And mind you, I haven't put in hours and hours and hours into research over the last few days to find. This is the one I just quickly popped out to me by scanning through just some of the biggest stocks. Next one that stood out to me is Eli Lilly. Look at this fella. Eli Lilly, okay, pumping as well. Greens upon greens, it's actually near the all-time high. Remember, we were talking, hey, March 2021, Ethereum made a high and it hasn't gone past that. Well, look at this stock, right? Look at this stock. March 2021, if we can roughly get us around here, this stock is up 350%. Now, a lot of the haters out there will say, well, this is overvalued, and you could be right. But, right, it might be overvalued now, but if you had your whole net worth in Ethereum, that was not the right play. If you had tribalism over Ethereum, you should have had tribalism over Eli Lilly, but you didn't even know about the company. How did you? Right? So that's how you play the game. That's how you think. You don't really like, if you're really, there's a lot of people, they're the novices, right? Where they think that they just got the massive egos. They think they know better than everyone else. If you knew better than everyone else, you should have put your 100% of your net worth probably in their stock or Nvidia or Facebook. You probably should have done that over the last few years. There's not that many Facebook. I don't know what you call them, tribalists. There's not that many people that are like all in Facebook, right? But for whatever reason, when it comes to cryptos, there's a lot of people that are just all in, right? Now, the way I'm talking I'm talking very directly and very strictly, right? I'm trying to be a good father, yeah, a proper role model. It comes from a place of love. You got to understand that. I've been in the past where I've had too much of my net worth wrapped up in certain things, and it's made me clench. It's made me not being able to sleep at night. It took me a very, very long time to realize what I was doing in the past when I was first jumping into this stuff was not investing, right? That was not playing the game properly. That was much, much, much closer to gambling. Okay. So sometimes you got to be dead honest with yourself. Are you actually an investor or are you closer to a gambler, right? Sometimes the truth really, really, really hurts. Now, mind you, I'm not here to make friends. I'm just trying to be like, because I could be nice and say, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's all going to be all good in the end. I've done that as well in the past, and a lot of people have been hurt by that, right? So I'd rather have small pain up front by being honest, sharing my mindset rather than being fake up front, being overly positive, and then seeing that person face extreme financial ruin in the future. And obviously people could get lucky as well. Sometimes people get lucky, but I never see people get lucky 10 or 20 years in a row. They might get lucky once over 3 or 4 years, but then that luck gets to their head. They feel like everything's easy, and then from there they then mess up even more. Okay. So as an example, I've got a good example for you in the actual business world. So, a lot of you guys know that I'm a founder of a company called Headstart Capital. What we do is we invest in hospitality businesses in Asia. Currently, it's only Indonesia. Now, what we did was we used a lot of this stock market knowledge, especially from Warren Buffett, and we're applying that to Indonesia. And also, I have a background in running restaurants. Like I ran the number one Nando's in Australia and potentially the whole world, doing $100,000 a week. This is back 10 years ago, so it's a lot of volume, right? So I combine the knowledge that I've learned from the stock market and real world experience in restaurants and apply that to Indonesia, where the competition is quite a bit lower, right? It's a lot lower than it is in Australia. So it is quite, honestly, it is much, much easier to do business in Indonesia. Of course, there's other hurdles. There's a lot of other hurdles that comes with Indonesia. But overall, in terms of the actual business itself, it's an easier landscape than Australia. Now, what we did was for about more than 5 years, we were waiting for the right opportunity. Now, our friend and director of the company, Andy, he lives in Bali. He is Balinese, and he was constantly keeping an eye out for what is a potential investment for us in Indonesia. And we probably went through more than 100 different opportunities until we finally came across a fuck yes, which was Mixu, all right, or Mishui, depending on how you like to pronounce it, which is, it's an ice cream and bubble tea brand out of China. And the thing is, with this company, with this brand, they have more than 40,000 stores globally. Not many people have actually heard about them. To put it into perspective about how fast their growth is, when they came to Indonesia, it was like 2021. By 2024, last year, they had opened up 3,000 stores from scratch. Okay. This shit is absolutely mind boggling. To put it into perspective, in Australia, the big brands like Char that have the most market share, I think they're only pushing like 150 stores over a decade. Okay. So these Chinese people, the way they think and the way they operate is on another level. And another example is if you got some spare time, do some research about Luckin Coffee. Like Luckin Coffee, I don't know, like it. When I see these people operate, me, I feel insecure. I'm like, okay, I actually don't know how they do that shit. I don't know how they open up. I feel like I'm a hard worker. I feel like I'm a smart guy. These people, it's like they're breaking the laws of reality. It's like, physics is physics, right? There's gravity. It's like, they got an anti-gravity device. It doesn't matter for them. All right. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And Mixu is one of those companies. It now has the most shops in the world, more than McDonald's, Subway, Starbucks. It has more shops, right? It's not the biggest company by market cap, but it has more actual locations and it's growing. Now, the good thing about Mixer is it's the cheapest, most affordable ice cream and bubble tea in the world, because of its economies of scale and everything is vertically integrated. So it actually has a massive, massive moat. No other competitor can actually compete on price unless they cut costs. Now, the only way that they can actually cut costs and try to compete, like they can put the price the same as us, right? Our soft serve is absolutely huge in Indonesia. It's literally the size of my head. The actual ice cream. It's monstrous. It's 80 cents, right? The competitors can put their price at 80 cents, but do you get the same amount of weight? You don't. You get like 75% of the size. And what they actually do to trick it, to trick you is, yeah, you might, because you're not holding Mixu and the other competitor, next to each other. So you can kind of say, it's still decent for my money. But what they do past there to compete on the price is they have to cut the milk content out of the ice cream. So it's more watery, it's more icy, right? There's actually less milk in it. You get the less creaminess. Um, so they actually cannot compete, which means Mixu or Mishway has a massive, massive moat, which is going back to Warren Buffett's, his number one investment rule is like the investment needs to have a moat. What is stopping it from a competitor from killing it? Like there actually is nothing. Like the only way I can see, you kill Mixu is like imagine there's big companies like Starbucks or Macca's, and they combine forces, they create one company, and they use all their capital to go after the market of Mixer, right? And then they try to like you got to actually create an alliance, I believe. Like it's gotten to that point. Um, yeah. Um, but if you look at those companies, they're old, they're huge, no doubt about it. They're financially strong, no doubt about it. But they're old like Titanic ships. They don't really have the ability to pivot anymore. That's my opinion. And I don't know if they're gonna do a drastic move like this to come after this market. So going back to the point, which is someone can get lucky in a stock, but they can't get lucky again and again and again and again and again over the course of their whole life. You actually don't want beginner's luck because if you get beginner's luck, yeah, you might get rich over like 3, 4, 5 years, but then you feel like everything's easy. So then you're like, oh, I want to get even richer because the money's never enough. And you fool yourself that you know everything. And then your next play, you try and do the same thing and you get wiped clean back to zero. So you actually don't want to get beginner's luck. You actually, yeah, if you get beginner's luck and it maintains, you can set yourself up for a crazy, crazy, crazy dip, which is really actually hard to recover from, especially if it comes later on in life. Like, what you do is get little bit of beginner's luck when you're like really young in your early 20s, lose your money, start again from scratch when you're like 23, 24. That's the best. All right. That's the best. Um, so how this relates to Mixu is I've seen so many people, so many investors in Indonesia. They got lucky with Mixu just because they saw that, hey, the shop opened down the road from their house. It was absolutely pumping. So they wanted to inquire about the business and they wanted to get one themselves. They didn't actually analyze the company. They actually didn't analyze the business. They don't understand what the customer wants and why the customer was attracted to the business. And they don't even have experience in hospitality themselves. They were just chasing the fast money. Now they made a lot of money, right? I've heard stories of some people who made 400% in 1 year. Um, and I tend to believe them. It's in those high figures. If you were early to this, you made 400%. Sadly for us, we came quite late, when there was barely any locations left. So what happened was Mixu expanded 3,000 locations across Indonesia over like 3, 4 years. Then there's like no locations now. So then People got rich from Mixer very, very, very quickly, especially if they were in early. They got lucky. They had the beginner's luck, right? Then what did they do? Because there's no locations left, they went to invest their profits in different brands. Now, this is where they get it wrong. They don't realize you got lucky. You got lucky because you saw a pumping next to your house, right? So you wanted to open up another one. You didn't analyze it like Warren Buffett. You didn't find out what is the moat. What makes this business special. You don't know. I believe to this day, 90%, maybe even higher, of the Mixer investors, they actually don't even like um the brand that much. They don't respect the brand. Like, I love the brand because I'm like, dude, what they're doing for us is absolutely genius. I'm so, 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 so grateful. Right? I'm so grateful. I absolutely love it. I actually think it's art. Like, it's the best thing in the world. But these people, they're so ungrateful. They're like, whenever a price gets raised on something by like just a few dollars or whatever, cost of an ingredient or something, and we're talking per kilo, so you can't even notice it. They get fed up. I'm like, we got the cheapest ingredients in the whole world still, right? We should be grateful. We should be grateful. It's not easy to build this business, right? Our success comes from their success, the founder of the whole company's success, right? We're just piggybacking off of them. Us as franchisees, we actually add very little value, right? The genius comes from the founder, and whoever is high up in the company, the management team. That's the truth. So what's happening with a lot of these investors, these franchisees, they made a lot of money, then they start double dipping. Going into other brands, and they're just absolutely scorcher brands. Like, to quickly um give you another example, like, if I say to you, like, hey, which burger businesses are the best in the world, right? You probably got a decent idea. Yeah, Macca's probably comes to the top of your head, all right? So you'd probably want to invest in Macca's, okay? If I'd say to you, like, what's the best chicken shop in the world, right? The best fried chicken, you probably have an idea what's pumping in your area, and if it's Australia, KFC is doing decently well, right? Um, where is like, it's not necessarily about KFC itself, but it's like, imagine KFC compared to like a local, tiny, uh, poorly ran, fried chicken shop, right? That's Why would you invest in that, right? Obviously, that's the extreme of the scale, but just made like a tier list. You would put KFC near the top, depending on where it is in the country, which country you come from. But you make a tier list, and then you go off of that tier list. Like, I feel like people don't even do this thinking; they just get a feeling. Yeah, I think this thing might work next. Um, there's something magical about hospitality and businesses. It's like there's a magic essence. It needs to be a combination, like this magical potion of all of these ingredients for the business to work. If it's missing like one ingredient, for whatever reason, it doesn't work. And if you don't realize, it's a very delicate balance, this business stuff. It's a very delicate balance. Like, not everything pumps. Most things actually do fail. That's the truth. But because they got their bull goggles on because everything they touched in terms of Mixu turned to gold. Now they think that whatever else they touch turns to gold. Since we started struggling with expansion, because we couldn't really find any locations as well, we're looking at new opportunities. But every time we come across a new opportunity, there's major red flags. There's major red flags that Mixu didn't have. Like, Mixu, it did have a couple red flags, but most businesses, they got 50 of them, right? They got a lot of them. No business is perfect. That's the point. So in the future, we'll probably lean towards creating our own brand, using our knowledge that we've gotten, like, not to compete against Mixer, is something completely different. But using our knowledge that we have in business, and I believe we can actually create the magical potion, right? I believe we understand what the customer wants and what makes a business actually special and profitable. All right. That's a bit of a long lesson today. Hopefully it makes sense. What I'm trying to do is just give you a bit of insight into my world and how I think. Hopefully it's helpful. My mindset with this whole thing is, No one else can have my mindset on YouTube, so I'm 100% unique when it comes to this. So hopefully you find it valuable. Anyway, guys, there's some business knowledge and business secrets for you. Hopefully you liked it. And hopefully you can see how this connects to the stock market, how this connects to crypto. Because at the end of the day, usually, especially with the stock market, these are businesses, these are companies, right? And yeah, that's it. All right. Thank you very much for this video. Watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.